We are proud to have Ms. Abirambika Ravi Varman. She is a life and sustainability coach, founder of Green Mind Center, dealing with sustainability consulting, implementation, and sustainability culture building education. Abirambika was earlier part of Citibank India, heading compliance, controls, and technology for customer service written channel. She holds a PGD BA from Symbiosis Center. She is also a Guinness Record holder, and I think you should know from her own version, how she has got this Guinness Book of World Records. It's pretty interesting fact. Above all, she is one of our alumnus of this proud institution, graduating a primary school in the late 80s. Welcome, Abirambika.
Thank you for this opportunity because when I see my primary teachers and when I see Akka, I have this different kind of feeling going inside of me because this is my base. This is where I have grown. This is where I have actually gained whatever my value systems, my core has been built here. And today I feel very proud because my teachers with whom I have worked during my primary are still so bonded with us purely because they didn't look at teaching as a profession. They looked at it as their breath and their spirit. So that's what I really love about this school. After this school, I've been to two other schools and the experience have been different. But what I have gained here is something phenomenal, and that's why I'm back here today. And I really thank for this opportunity before I get on to this big topic of spiritual intelligence. And I'm sure all of you must be wondering, what age is this girl to talk about spirituality? And what is this spirituality? Why is this even an element in today's discussion when we're talking about education? If you notice, it's a soul search. And that soul is the spirit, and that is what I'm going to talk about today. Okay. So this is my first slide, and I have a question which I want to post here before everybody. What do you think are the reasons for today's the depression, the suicidal tendencies that are among children, the anxiety, the stress? In fact, school kids talk about stress. There's a lot of peer pressure, excessive crime, because we had people from the law, and they did say that there is a lot of crime happening right now. And child molestation. And this slide could have gone for 10 pages. I just cut it short right here. Because these are the things that are happening. These are something that we're seeing day in and day out. Do you know what are the reasons? Anybody? Expectation. Okay. Family bonding. Great. Disappointments. Okay. Value education is missing. Okay. Perfect. So is this something that we are noticing? Any one of this is something that we are noticing in every child that we come across. Every adult. Everybody has gone through something out of this list. And is there a need to even go through this? Does this make us stronger or does this make us more weaker? Is what is this spiritual intelligence all about? Because today we, like Sir said, there is so much of expectation. There is expectation out of everything. There is so much of expectation that we carry about our life without understanding what we really want. If I ask, I coach people, I coach teens, and when I coach them, when I ask them a simple question of what do you want in life, there is no answer. Either they're saying something random. In fact, I had a child who said, I want sambar rice. I mean, that's the kind of teens that we're looking at. It's not to degrade them or anything, but that's the kind of mental strength that they carry. They look at very simpler things which are just right next to them. If they don't get it, they get into depression. Sir spoke about blue whale. It's just to give that kick. There are kids who've committed suicide purely because of the teens who want to prove to them that they are capable of doing. Doing what? What is it that you want to do? Do you want to prove to the world that you're stronger in what way? By living a great life, a satisfied life, or by showing something simpler which really does not add much value? Okay. Next slide. So these are something that I have put across. Our focus is on others and not ourselves. We can find mistakes in others but not correct ours. And we want good life but don't know what constitutes a good life. Because we believe somebody else's life is ours. We have people whom we look at for motivation. We have idols, we have gurus. We look at them, we want to live their life. We don't want to live our own life, which is what I believe is the biggest problem in today's education system, because we show them a lot of others. We don't show them themselves. If a child says, I want to draw, maybe the next day he has an exam, as a parent, what would I say? I will say, no. You have an exam. Tomorrow you have to score 100 marks, so you have to push yourself and study, but don't draw. There, we are trying to tell the child, don't be your own self. Be that person that I perceive for yourself. I look at you as a doctor, so you have to start working as a doctor. From your childhood. In fact, I work with a lot of parents to whom I say, if you're putting a child in multiple classes, so till primary you are in anything, you name a class that's happening in Chennai, you are there in it, because you want your child to get all the experience. The moment the child moves to the next level in, say, the guitar class or in a taekwondo or a karate, and the child is in the 8th standard or 9th standard, if there is a day when there is an exam or a class, what does the child have to choose? Cut your class, go for your studies. So the child gets confused because you've pushed me through so much of my extracurricular during my primary, and suddenly you tell me to cut everything because I need to study. So there, as parents, we are creating a confusion in the child's mind by saying, don't be yourself. Just do what I say. Just listen. Just listen. So what is turned out is we are more of others than our own self. So everything begins with the self is the first lesson I would teach my son. And today, I would probably share an experience from my own life. Like he said, I was working in a financial institution. I have been having this, I was one of the ATM machines, obviously, like what we had in the earlier this thing. So what changed me was my son. Because the moment he was born, and 2 years, he never even realized that I was his mother. He used to look at my mom because she takes care of him, or he had his support system. And that support system actually made him not believe in what the mother is itself. And that gave me like a big shocker, because that was not what I was an ATM machine for. I wanted my son to listen to what I have to say in terms of his own self. And that's something that I have acquired during my education from my parents and all that. So when he used to go to his primary, and then the teacher says he's not doing rhymes, I'm like, it's fine if he doesn't do rhymes, because he asked me a question. By doing this rhyme, or by learning Twinkle Twinkle, what am I going to do? That question literally changed the way I looked at his education, the way I looked at life for my own self. Because if a teacher said, do Twinkle Twinkle, I would have done that. But my son here is asking me, why should I learn a Twinkle Twinkle? How is it going to help me? And I didn't have an answer to say then, because I was clueless. I couldn't tell, no, you need to do it because of what? Because I had no idea. And that stopped. That's the day when I said, I need to change. I need to change, if not for anybody else, just for my own son. So I stopped and I started looking back at life. When I started looking back at life, I realized there has been so many things that I missed out, and it was still not late. I could still catch up. So this realization of, or self-awareness, generally we talk about it at the age of 40, 50. That's when we get into this mode of self-awareness, self-realization. And then we are bugged with life. In fact, we are too stressed. So we want something new to come. So we talk about self-realization. We talk about being more aware. So we look for a guru. We start moving into different paths. We start our meditation at the age of 50. And then we do so many things because we are fed up of life. Not because we've had a very satisfied life. Not because we've had a great, challenging life which has given us different experiences every day. Purely because of overstress, we want to cut off everything, and then we start looking at self-realization. But I believe as children, when they are coming into this world, is when they are highly self-realized already. they are self-aware, they have a very good equilibrium, they have a very good balance. And what happens is, like Saraswati ma'am said, as they grow, they start losing it out. Why? Because the experiences that they are gaining is something which is actually spoiling their core. Next slide. So I strongly believe that self-awareness of self-realization has to happen in the childhood. I work with children who are between 5 to 12 years, because before they get into their teenage is when you can actually groom them well in terms of values, in terms of all the spiritual intelligence or EQ and everything. Whatever we're talking about, that's the age when we can really work on. And that's the age this child is in a school. In fact, the child spends more time in a school rather than with the parents, because the 7 to 8 hours, the child is there in school, the child is seeing teachers, but very little time with the parents, because parents are also equally busy right now. Same was me. In my case, my child used to see me only on Sundays, and both me and my husband, and that really didn't help him in any way. I could see the emotional fluctuations. I could see a lot of difference in the way he was behaving. So the childhood is, that was my clue to understand childhood was the right time to actually start working on self-realization and spiritual intelligence. And I have an interesting story to share. I'm sure a lot of you must have gone through or must have heard this story. It's called The Allegory of the Cave by Plato. And he was one of these psychologists who says there were a lot of prisoners who were chained during their childhood. The only thing they could see was a wall. And that wall projected shadows of what was happening behind them. So they could never turn back and see what was happening. They could only see this wall where if there was a dog moving, they could see a dog's shadow, and whatever was happening, like a flower, they could see only shadows. And they were like that for years together till they were growing older. And one day they suddenly uncuffed one guy out of this whole lot. That guy went out because he was uncuffed, and he said, okay, let me go out and see what is happening. That's the first time he sees fire. That's the first time he sees sun, and the first time he's ever seeing reality. So he's going out, he's seeing, and then he's realizing the shadow is what he's been seeing of himself, and he learns the whole thing. He gets very interested about whatever he's learned, so he wants to go back to the cave friends to say what you've been seeing all along is only it's not real, and it is only your own this thing. And can you guess what the cavemen said? All the ones who were chained. They all said, you are dumb. What you're saying is wrong. What we are saying is real, and what you are saying is all wrong. And they bet him so badly that literally he died. So who is wrong here or who is right? Because what you see from your young age is your reality. And that is how much you will move forward, or that is how much you will believe or you can push yourself. So the reality for a child becomes very important. And this reality is the core truth, which is being spiritual. Because in spirituality, there is only truth. There is no gray, there is no black, white. It's just pure truth. And if that is something that the child is able to connect from the young age, irrespective of whoever have cuffed them, they will still know that this is not real. They will still know that there is a reality behind them, which they might probably start looking out for. So I believe that understanding the self and the truth is the being, which is we human beings. So we are here only to be that particular being as a human. And to be that, we need to connect to our own self and not just keep looking outside of ourselves. So I've just put this meaning of the word. I'm sure everybody knows here. But I've just put it because I want to emphasize on the breath. Because spirit is the breath of life, which means that is the only reason all of us even exist here. And if all of us are here, it's purely because we are all connected in some way, in a way that is spiritual to each of us. And I call it sustainability, because when I use the word spirituality, people try and associate it to religion, which is not the reason. And in fact, values, you talk about all these, they immediately connect to a religion, and there is immediate calculations that happen in our mind, because we are used to a kind of reality. We believe spirituality and religion are the same. So I started using the word sustainability, because when we say sustainability, that is who we are, because Even before the first man and woman came, sustainability existed. Even before that, the plant sustained, the environment sustains. So we are here to sustain ourselves in the best way for each of us and not for our friends or our mother or a father. So the art of sustaining ourselves is without eating into others. Why did I specifically put this? Because in the first slide, there was competition, there was peer pressure. And all of this is coming because I'm not satisfied with what I have, but I want what my friend has. I always want for something which is not mine, which I believe I will get it only if that person loses it. If I believe that I will also get it and that other person also gets it, then that is sustainability. Because today, when we have competitions, what do? We have one winner. We have one second place, one third place. If I don't fight for it, I am not that one. But at the same time, if you're doing, say, a test, there is a possibility that everybody gets 100, which is, if I want to push myself, I get my 100 marks. If I'm not pushing myself, probably I am at the 60 or 70. So if I believe that if I take the other person's mark is when I can sustain myself, that is the reality that person will carry. So sustaining ourselves is important. And here I have put this self, body, and mind because there is a lot of things that we do for our mind. We get into fitness, we have swimming, we do so much of work on our body part, food, everything. On our mind, we have, again, not so much as body, but there is quite a bit of awareness about the mind, the way things work and how you have to keep your IQ high and so many things. But when it comes to the other part of self, we don't do anything. We just ignore it till we reach our 50 or 60 years. And that is too late because all the three are in balance when we are born. We are bothered about one. We put second priority to that. We give that the least priority. So spirituality and being religious, there is a huge difference according to me in my mind. Because spiritual is connecting to a higher self, using the mind to get deeper within the self, and being within the nature and around us. So my mother's favorite question is, what is the best part of nature? She asks this wherever she goes. And she in fact gets thrilled because people say ocean, and they say plants, and they say mountain, they say everything else but themselves. So she knows there will be somewhere she will be able to, fight and argue. So I've noticed this over years. Everywhere she goes, this is the first question she posed. So that made me think how we are so connected with nature, but at the same time so detached that we don't even consider ourselves part of the whole. We consider ourselves supreme. We consider ourselves as the human being who has the right to push anything else down. And that attitude kind of works opposite of the spirit that is being given to everybody. And being religious is a set of rules, like how we had in the morning, the laws have been created by humans. Religion has been created by humans, but spirituality existed before that because religion has been based on spirituality. But we focus so much on our rituals that we forget why we do the ritual. My party has one interesting story to say this because in some wedding, there was a cat who kept disturbing the wedding, kept going up and down. So they put the cat and they put one basket on top of the cat because the cat shouldn't disturb the wedding. But people thought that was a ritual, and over a period of time, whether they get a cat or not, they'll catch the cat and keep it during the wedding, and they will put a close. They didn't realize that that's not part of the ritual, but it was done just to help that one particular wedding. So that is how a lot of rituals, I believe, has come in place. And it revolves only around God. It doesn't revolve around the person who is actually praying. So if there is a God and there is a person who's praying, both are equally important because when one stops praying, there is no need for a God, right? So we are equal. In fact, God is only within us. If we believe that there is God within each of us, and that is how spirituality is different from being religious. Okay, so this is something that generally there is IQ, then there is EQ. I'm sure everybody is now very aware of the topic EQ. And then comes SQ. So then what I think, what I feel, what I am, and that is generally perceived because I am still out of my reality zone. What I would tend to believe is the opposite of it, where the SQ comes before, because what I am makes me think in the right way and makes me feel in the right way, and what I think comes out of what I am. So if you can take an example, if I believe my IQ is what is making me here and stand and talk before all of you, then it will revolve around just the knowledge that I've accumulated. But if I believe my SQ is what has brought me here before all of you, and if I am talking purely because I am connected to each of you in some way and I had to share a message, and that is why SQ comes first, and then this becomes more purposeful, this becomes more mindful. Otherwise, it's just the opposite. I have a I have learned something, I will just share it and I will walk away. So there is always a difference how I put into use my IQ. If I don't have my SQ levels, or if I'm not emotionally balanced, then my IQ is of no use to me. He gave a very brilliant example of that IAM guy committing suicide, because his IQ was very high, but his SQ was much lower than what he must have anticipated. So I would push, in fact, we work a lot on how to keep SQ as your base, and then, so we call this values before intelligence, or values before knowledge, because knowledge is the path where you take not just in your schooling, you keep learning, you keep evolving. But if you strengthen your core of your SQ in your schooling, then there is no need to worry about yourself. You know how to connect. Connection happens automatically, and things start moving for you automatically. So this is the rational mind, because a lot of people, this is a type of mind, different type of minds that people have actually. There are people who are, a lot of people on the rational side, because they have been, very good studious students, and they are on the path of accumulating. They go for Mensa, they go for so many things, they accumulate IQ. If there is a decision that needs to be taken, they look at it on a rational basis. They try and, reason out, and they take decisions. There is another segment of people who do emotional this thing. My friend's mother's sister said, so I will take it up because I don't want to hurt my friend. So, like that. There are so many decisions that we do purely because of our emotional side, because we are very emotionally high. So these are two types of people. But the ones who are wise are the ones who are able to bring a balance between these two. It's not falling on either sides, but to be at the middle level where we are able to decide where should I take an emotional decision, where should I take a logical decision, or in the same problem, how should I mix both of my quotients, my intelligent quotient and my emotional quotient, and take the right decision which is suitable for me, not for anybody else. So that is where SQ becomes a very critical part of all of our living. So what is spiritual intelligence? Is the ability to apply knowledge, also known as wisdom. So we have these wise people. If you've gone through old stories, they'll say there was a wise man. There'll be only one. In a lot of places, there'll be only that one wise man who will be the clan head, who will say what to do. Why is that? Why is it that everybody can't be wise? Because we consider people who are wise as very rare. We don't look at them as normal. In fact, a lot of places where they say highly intelligent people, they set aside. They are not normal. They are someone different from us, so we don't need to kind of talk to them kinds. So there is always this one wise man, and who's not kind of looked upon. And the difference is, who am I? What am I? Where am I? What is my purpose? How to do it? What next? These are the questions that we need to keep posting to ourselves every day. Every day I should know, why do I exist? Why did I even reach out to this world in this form? Because I have a purpose. If my purpose is to be an ATM machine, that's not true, because money is found by man. It's not something which was found before man came. So that's not the purpose. That is the ancillary thing which follows you, because you need to sustain yourself. So what are the answers for these questions? And by doing that, we find our own inner guru. We don't really need to go find someone outside who will guide us every day, because that everyday guide will not be there inside of you for every situation of yours. You need to be your own inner guru to find your right answer, to be able to take that right decision. So this is my favorite, this is my own model that I have created. And this is something that I share with everybody wherever I go and speak. I keep sharing this because I believe this model will make us cross every situation that we come across. So this is nature's model. And that illustration explains how our conscious self is on top, our subconscious is down, but if you see, both are the same. It's just that the conscious has some leaves and then the subconscious is just down. But it's just a reflection of our own subconscious, which means whatever I do, it is something that is coming from deep inside of me because of the experiences that I have gathered, because of what I have gone through from my childhood. So if I am a bad person today, that is because I have gained bad experiences through my life. Because when a child is born, it's the same. Whether it's a thief's child or a chief minister's child, the child is the same. So what happens, how do I behave in a certain manner, is because I have accumulated a lot of things through my childhood till now, and that becomes deeper impressions in my subconscious. So if my subconscious is saying, be a thief, it's okay, you can go and steal. What is that one thing which stops me is I know stealing is wrong. Because my intuition should tell me, no, stealing is wrong, don't do that. And that's the spirit inside each of us, because the spirit only tells you the truth. And if we just blindly listen to it, there is no need for any outer guru, there is no need for any, I would say, there's no search anything outside, because the answers are within you. And when I coach people, when I talk to them, they come up with this maddening problem that they say, if I don't solve this, that's it, my life is done here. But as we start doing the conversation, and during the conversation, the person realizes they're able to come out with solutions. But 15 minutes before or 20 minutes before, when they sat down, their mind was not ready because they believed there was no solution. And the solution is not given by me. It is coming out of the questions that I'm asking them. And they are able to come out of that solution, which is the best for them, because I cannot be a mentor for everybody, but I can be a coach to enable them to come out with their answers. So that is how I believe this model helps, because nurturing our own selves, nurturing everybody outside, nurturing our emotions. So nurture becomes a very critical point. And abundance, which is the next one, this is my favorite, because I believe there is abundance everywhere. If I am here talking today, there might be somebody else talking the same thing somewhere else, which is fine. They have a different audience, I have a different audience, which is perfectly okay. If I start thinking I should be the one doing there also, look at the stress that I'll be taking on myself. That is what is so important that the child needs to understand, because if you want a ball, the next person can also have a ball. There is availability, enough and more availability. There is no dearth for anything. So when we start believing that, and when the child starts believing it from beginning, there is zero stress, there is zero depression, there is zero anxiety, because I know what is due for me, I will get it. And that is how abundance becomes a very favorite part of my model. Then trust on the truth. If I don't trust anything, then I'm always in this thing of what is going to happen. Will my life move positively? Will I, be moving the way I want to? So that's why trust becomes a very important thing in any role. If you are a teacher, trust becomes very important, because unless and until you trust your students and trust yourself, your class for that day is going to become chaotic. So that way, everyday trust is so important on the truth of what is going to happen. Then the universe, obviously another favorite of mine, because I believe all of us are just some drop of the universe. We just are here to do our own purpose, and then we're all connected only because of this. This is like the internet of things, the universe, because it connects us in some way. Resilience is in any cause. If I believe that I will bounce back, that is what will keep me moving. What today is missing in children is resilience. One competition you lose out, that's it. They will never go and attempt that again, because they don't want to try it. They don't have the resilience to come back. Anything which you've lost once, that becomes a full stop for that particular attempt. Or in fact, people commit suicide purely because resilience is very less in children. And obviously energy, because energy is what comes from within and from outside, and how it connects with different people. So if you can just remember this, it's a very simple model. You can try applying this every day in any situation, and you will find an answer to whatever problem or a roadblock that you're there. So what we do is, we do sustainability culture education. I didn't say it as a spiritual culture education or anything else. It's sustainability culture education purely because I believe that if I sustain my culture and along with my education, if I am able to bond it well and bring that mix, it's not a separate thing, but if I'm able to do that, that is how I will be able to look up to what I want. My life will be beautiful the way I want it. So we do work with grade 1 to 12, but main focus is on the primary and kids till 12 years. So I've just listed some random stuff from my sustainability culture education. It is, we work on the web of connectivity, because unless and until I believe that we are connected to each other, I'm looking at the opposite person as a competition or as an enemy or as a friend or with some tag. That tag will create a rift at a later point in time. So how am I connected and what is the essence of life? So these are something like, thoughts and action is very important, because your thoughts is what will determine you. So if the child thinks in the right direction, the child's life is going to be really awesome. So these are some things that we do: emotional balance and universal laws. The only law that I still believe in is the moral law and the universal law. That is what will determine my life. So that's something that we teach the children. So before I end my long talk, this is something that I keep thinking about. There are two gifts that we should give our children. One is roots and the other is wings. The roots is themselves, the deep rooting of them on their own, and the wings to fly, which is your IQ and EQ. So this is something, if you strengthen for the children, you don't really need to worry about them. They can go in the midnight, 12 o'clock, they can go out. There is no need to be thinking about what will happen to the child. The child will still come back home without any issues, without any difference or problem. That's it. Thank you.
Floor is open to questions.
Oh yeah, I will.
Yeah, let's just hear about the Guinness World Record.
Okay, that's a very different experience, the Guinness, because I have one friend, she's also part of the Guinness here. I'm happy that I saw her. So the Guinness was a challenge. In fact, when I got out of my Citibank role and then I wanted to do something. I didn't know, because you're so used to your routine and then you can't be a housewife. So I was like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? And my mother said, do something which will challenge you. If it's going to be a challenge, you take it up. If you're able to do that, then see if you want to really start off on a business or not. So I said, okay, challenge, great. What is the challenge? So she said Guinness Record. I was like, did I hear it even right? Because Guinness is not something so easy. I mean, you're telling me something like a Guinness Record, like, okay, just go and pick up a book type of a thing. So that really, started making me think as to if I am able to do this Guinness, which means it is purely out of my own thought strength, not because I have a list of sponsors who are ready to do what ready to help me, not a big list of people who are also ready to run around. So what is this, that if I am able to do this, and if that achievement happens, which will be the biggest motivation for me to trust in my own concept. And that is why we started this Guinness, and people came, they just came for their own love. It's not that we did anything else financially. And Guinness happened where we took a pledge for sustainability across Tamil Nadu with 1,22,582 kids. And that became a big achievement, because within 1 month, with not much of help, we could achieve something as massive as that. So that has made me believe that if you just have the right thought, then your spirit will help you and you will be able to do it, which means nothing is difficult. Nothing is a struggle. All you have to do is put your thought there and things will just work. People will come to you. You don't need to go behind them. If you are the right person, you will attract. You don't need to go anywhere. If it comes to you, then it's like magic. I have seen a lot of magic in my life. People have just come helping. If I narrate stories, the day is not enough. So I will stop here. But that magic will happen in everybody's life people will come, they will guide you. In fact, the first magic is when will make you believe it. But before that, your belief needs to be stronger. Yeah. Sure, sure. Ma'am.
What did you do with the children?
We had a pledging on a particular pledge. So we wanted them to take it up on sustainability, basically to believe that how they can sustain and be that change agents in this world.
It was the shortest question. You will get an award from us.
I just was going through your presentation. There was a slide on spirituality and religion. Basically, I just wanted to understand how your green minds, when you're handling children, connect children with God. Because you said God is, spiritual and we are religion. So how do you connect?
Okay, so what we basically do is we tell the children how they are their own God. Because religion comes when you want to show them a figure. You show them Krishna, you show them Jesus, you show them an image. Because we are visual people. Why did I have a presentation? Because I wanted you to connect visually. So that's the only thing we've done with religion, because we've given them a structure. We've given them what we like. We like to wear nice clothes. So we've given them pattu. We like to wear nice jewelry. So we've done that. So what we try and tell them is, you do your religious belief, but don't get sunk into the religious methods alone. Just try to look a little above that so that you understand the actual spirit in that and start looking at the God inside you. So if I start looking at the God inside of me, then everybody is equal to me. Otherwise, a person who's on the road is different. A person who's above me, who's going in a Benz car, is different. But if I start looking at everybody as one drop of that God, then whatever I can help to maybe somebody who's below me, I will tend to do that. So there is no need for a separate social intelligence, the social part of it, what we're trying to figure out right now. So there is no need for a separate CSR for a company. If I believe, if a company is truly believing and who's going to truly work on their product, they will never need a separate CSR, because their own product will be that good. Today we have so much of adulteration. We are going through so many issues. Cancer came. Did cancer exist 50 years back? No, because cancer is a fall off from our changes in livelihood. It has come because it is a deadly disease. It has come out of our thoughts. It has come out of the consumption that we've changed. So if everybody just does the same thing of believing the other person is the same, we will never try to grab, we will never try to introduce a product which is not good, and there will be sustainability. So that's what we teach the children.
Thank you so much. We have been covering a lot of stakeholders, part of education. There is one proud parent sitting there and full beaming bright about her daughter. She is Jayalakshmi Sakhivel. She has been the PowerPoint operator for her daughter. She had put me on 30 years back in a program called Kanmani Punga. I think I went and told some donkey story. We got some 50 rupees. And the next 2 months, mine and my brother's mission was to somehow reap that 50 rupees benefit. So we used to tell our father saying, buy us some gold spot. There is a gold spot. There used to be one shop also opposite President Hotel. Then my dad brought me and my brother to President Hotel, bought us some aloo bonda. And that's what runs in a child's mind. So she was saying, some child was saying he or she craved for sambar sadam. That's what children crave for. And if we take care of their appetite, I think the rest is all done. Like yesterday's, Dr. M.S. Anand left with a thought, very, very powerful thought. It's out of the newspapers today that teachers should relax, children will learn on their own. Thank you so much, Abirambika,
Thank you for
a very, very insightful presentation. We all had butterflies about this particular topic, about spirituality. I think you have demystified everything. Request Dr. Saraswati to come and felicitate Abirambika. We used to call her Abhi.